Hey everybody, so welcome to this week's episode of Roto's Questions, and this week I'm going to be talking about what happens when we die. To me, this is one of the most important questions that can be asked because the implications of the answer are so vast. And so, like, say we do live on, say we are immortal and we live on to live other lives, or the other extreme, that's it. When we die, that's it. Or we're just a body, and when death comes, that's it. We're done. Nothing else. So to me, and then there's also everything else. Do we go to heaven? Do we go to hell? Purgatory, and just all sorts of things. There's probably a million different answers people could give, and it's just what I'm going to talk about today. It's just my own opinion, and if you like it, that's cool, and if you don't, that's cool too. I just hope everyone learns something and maybe have some inspiration to go and look up the subject on your own. And just this to me is what resonates as true to me, and so it's what I believe in. Like I said, there's a million different answers, and it's for whatever people believe in and what resonates true for them. There is no right answer or anything like that, but this is what I believe, and I'm going to share it with all of you today. And so just to start off, I believe that we have a soul, and I believe that we reincarnate over and over again until we evolve to the point spiritually where we don't need to reincarnate anymore. And to me, what that means to me is that we've learned all the lessons that we need to learn, and these lessons probably number in the millions. So it would take several lives to learn all these lessons. But once you're at that point, then you don't need to reincarnate again. You can move on to other things. And so a lot of the information I'm getting from comes from two books that I've read in the past few months by an author called Michael Newton. And the two books are called Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. And so Michael Newton is a hypnotherapist that specializes in life between lives regression. And so just a little background on him. He started off as just, a regular hypnotherapist. People would come to him that have like pains from their childhood, and he would regress them back into their childhood to see what the root cause of the pain was. And one day he had a client that, they couldn't find anything in the childhood that caused the pain he was feeling in his life right now. And so he told him, go back to the root cause, where the very first time you felt this pain. And the client ended up going back to a past life where he was in a war. And so this was Michael Newton's first ever experience with past life regression. He ended up liking the subject and kept going, and then eventually he started doing life between lives regression. And what that is when the soul goes into the time between when you die and when you incarnate again in this world. So it's just kind of the experience and the journey the soul goes on in that time, and that's what a lot of this is going to be about today. Okay, so a lot of people that have had near-death experiences report that they're floating away from the earth towards a light, or they're going down a tunnel towards a light, and that's pretty similar to what a lot of people that have been through life between lives regression also say. And they say once they're through this tunnel, or once they come to that light, that they're usually met by another soul. And usually that soul can be our spirit guides, or in the case of people who have had a traumatic death or a sudden death, they're met by one of their loved ones from the most recent life they've had. And the reason for that is just because they might be feeling a little weird or not knowing what's going on, being outside of their body, and they just need a loved one to comfort them. And so, but most people are met by the spirit guide, and usually they're met by the spirit guide just to have a quick orientation of what just happened in their current life that they just lived, and just to know kind of what's going on and where they're going, and to feel at home. And so once they're done with this orientation with their spirit guide, they go and meet the rest of their souls that are in their cluster groups. So he says that we have cluster groups of souls, and these souls are people that are advancing at, say, our same level. And a lot of these souls are usually people that we incarnate with over and over again in our lives. So they could be our parents, siblings, best friends, just anything along those lines. So you go meet up with them, catch up, talk, have some fun. And then one of the next steps that we do is that we have a council of elders. And so we go meet with this council of elders for, I guess advice would be the best way of putting it. They help us evaluate our most current life that we just lived. They help us see, did we meet our expectations? Did we perform to our standards? Did we learn all the lessons we wanted to learn in this life? How did we react and handle our challenges? Did we persevere and keep moving forward? And are there other lessons that we didn't learn and that we need to go back and relearn these lessons in the next life, or can we move on to the next level? And so this council is not anything like going to court or anything like that. This council of elders truly love us, and they just want to help us and want the best for us. And so after the council meeting, there's a lot of different things. Everything I'm going to go over isn't necessarily in order. These are just a lot of things that souls do. And so souls are always wanting to evolve. They always want to learn something new and just keep going on their journey forward. And so souls make a lot of time for classes and studies. Souls are like kids or adults even who are always in class. They're studying something, they have teachers, and they have lots of different subjects that they study. So usually they're with their cluster group or with other groups as well. The spirit world is pretty vast, and there's billions and billions of souls. So there's a lot of opportunity for souls to learn, and I think it's pretty safe to say that souls are always learning, no matter what they're doing. And so, however, at the same time, it's not always just, study, study, study. Souls make a lot of time for relaxation and for fun. They have their sports that they play. They have choirs that they participate in and all kinds of activities just like humans do. And also, souls are said that they like to travel to other planets that are inhabited by other life forms just to see how things are there, even uninhabited planets just to have some quiet time. Souls really like to take quiet time just to reflect upon what they need to do, what they need to learn, how they performed in their last life, what they want out of the next life. And souls are even said to come back to Earth and visit just to see the sights and relax, just to be somewhere where they feel comfortable. And so yeah, like I said, souls spend a lot of time in self-reflection because when they take a physical body, it's really important to them. It's not just a game. We come here for a reason, and we take this very serious. So they don't want to waste any time while they're here, kind of per se. And so another thing that souls do is they make soul contracts. And for people that haven't heard of soul contracts, it's when two souls say, I'll just take myself for example, say me and my dad, before we were both born, we were sitting up in the spirit world or wherever, and we said, okay, I'm going to be your son, you're going to be my dad, and I'm going to do this to you, I'm going to do this to you, and you're going to learn this from that, and you're going to learn this because of that. And so you make contracts about how you're going to affect each other in the physical world. And so if you believe in soul contracts, then you believe that we pick our parents, we pick our siblings, we pick everything about our life. And with that, it's kind of hard to hate anybody because we pick the life that we live. We made a contract with whoever it is, the person that, say, hurt us the most sometime in our life. We made that contract with them before we came to this world so that we would learn something from that experience. Whether that lesson to be learned is forgiveness or, whatever else the lesson could be, we chose that and we wanted to learn that. And so this person or soul was willing to do something bad to us so that we could learn that lesson. So how can you ever hate somebody for that? So that's just one way of looking at it, and one way to bring more love into the world because we need it. So soul contracts. Souls spend a great deal of time also picking their next life, picking their next body. It's not a dictatorship up in the spirit world. We're given options on what body to take, and what body they think will help us learn the lesson that we want to learn, and if the soul and mind of that body are going to be compatible. And there's so many different factors that go into picking a body and go into picking a life. Maybe we need to learn how to be humble, or whatever the lessons is. There's so many options. So souls do spend a great deal of time, and they're helped by the council and by the spirit guides on picking a body and a life. And so yeah, like a lot of times the reason souls will pick a certain life or a certain body is because they want to see things from the other point of view. So just for an example, say somebody was rich in a former life and they treated poor people like crap. They looked down on them, they never gave to charity, and it's just they were bad people. Maybe in the next life they'll choose to be a beggar so that they can see how it feels to be in that person's shoes. A lot of souls do that. All right, so then just a little bit more about the soul contracts. I know it's kind of hard for people to wrap their heads around, because when I say that we picked everything that we are experiencing in this life, some people might be like, well, that's a bunch of crap, because I would never pick to be overweight. I would never pick to be poor. I would never pick to live here, or, be a loner, or, I would never pick to have had my wife die in a car accident, or, whatever the thing that people don't want in their life. But you just got to think about it is, what is the lesson you're learning from all that? There's always something to gain from any bad thing. So that's just the way we got to look at it, is what are we learning from it? How can we grow from this experience and move on? It is a lot for people to accept, but once you're ready to accept it and think about it from that point of view, things will start to change. All right, so we should always remember that when we think our life is too hard, or is like, oh, I can't do this anymore kind of stuff, when we get down, is that we would never have picked a life that we thought we couldn't handle. So going into this life, before we were born, we knew what our life was going to be like. And that's not to take away from free will, or our life is determined and we have no free will, but we knew pretty much like the basics of what our life was going to be like. Not every detail, but we knew the hardships we'd go through and the lessons that we need to learn. And knowing all of that, we still picked this life. So we picked that for a reason, being fully confident in our abilities to overcome anything that was going to be thrown at us. So that's just something big for everyone to remember when you're feeling down. And so yeah, like I said, we picked our parents, we picked our friends, our siblings, our environment, everything. And by our actions every day, we even pick the time and place of our death. And then, so yeah, it's pretty significant. So you just got to remember, in my opinion, we are immortal beings of light and love, and we've been sent here to remember that, and just to be good to everyone, learn our lessons, and evolve spiritually. So yeah, like I said, if you want to learn more about this subject matter, I'd recommend reading those two books, Journey of Souls, Destiny of Souls. As I said, like, I'm just scratching the surface here. There's so much more to this subject, but I just want to give a brief intro to it and what I believe, what I've learned, just to pique your interest, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I look forward to hearing anything people have to say on this subject. Thanks.